Hey guys, it's Justin at the Survivor Review, and today I'm going to be reviewing the latest movie from Marvel Studios, Thor: The Dark World. This is a kind of funny movie because when they first announced it and they first released trailers for it, I was actually really excited because I liked the first Thor movie. I didn't think it was great, but I liked it, and this was going to show us more of Asgard and more about the other stuff that's what it looked at from the trailers, so it got me excited. But for some reason, as time went on, I just kind of lost interest a bit. So, when it was coming out yesterday or last night, I was just like, okay, I'll see Thor. Well, I really liked it. I had a blast with the movie. It's not the best Marvel movie by any means, but it's a lot of fun and really enjoyable movie that, in my opinion, is better than the first movie. And I say that because the first movie, it felt like it was trying to, make the world of Thor more accessible to wider audiences by having it take place half on Earth and half on Asgard. Like they were worried that regular audiences wouldn't like this kind of movie, but now that it's all been established that people like Thor, they just went full on Asgard and stuff like that. Like they're in Asgard and in other realms for most of the movie, and there's only really the climax is on Earth, and there's a few scenes spread out in between on Earth. And which I liked a lot, because the best part about Thor was all the stuff on Asgard. It was such an interesting world, and you didn't get to see much of it. And this one shows you much more of it, and you get to see more of Thor doing Thor things. This is really the true Thor movie, because the first movie, he was learning, he had to learn a lesson, he was a fish out of water and on Earth, and he was really arrogant and stuff like that. And then in the Avengers, he was full-on Thor, but there was a bigger cast, so he didn't have as much time to just develop. Well, this one is obviously his own movie now, and we've developed him and everything, so he is just full-on awesome and great. Chris Hemsworth as Thor is awesome. So, the plot of the movie involves a race of dark elves who found this power that will turn the world into darkness. And they were defeated by the Asgardians, by Thor's dad, Odin, by his dad, and after that, so they were banished, they're gone, and then later on the power starts to resurface because it hasn't been destroyed, and the bad guy wants it now to turn the world into darkness. And it sounds kind of bland, and that's because it kind of is. That's what kind of goes with some of the flaws of the movie. The flaws of the movie are the villain. He looks really awesome, and there's even a scene earlier in the movie where he gets his face burned, the side of it, so he almost looks like Two-Face, but he just looks awesome and looks really cool. But he's really bland and barely does anything for the whole middle half of the movie. He has some cool fight scenes with Thor, but his plan, obviously, as I just explained, is very by the numbers, and is a very weak villain. He's one of the major flaws of the movie. The villain is just very weak. And the other flaws include some of the comedy in this movie. This movie it has a lot of comedy in it, and I heard a lot of people complain about the comedy, but I honestly liked most of it. But I will agree, there were moments where you could have just toned that down a bit. You didn't have to be as obvious with your humor. Most of it was good, though. Most of it was actually really funny. And I found some of the movie predictable. There's a character death, I'm not going to spoil what it is. It's not the biggest thing ever, it's not going to it doesn't change the movie or anything. But I saw it coming, and I knew it was going to happen. Happened kind of earlier on in the movie, and I was just like, yeah, I know. I figured that out. So some of the movie was kind of predictable and kind of obvious where it was going to go. But for the most part, it was really entertaining. All the cast does their jobs very well. Loki, who's back in this movie, steals the show, but I love how the movie's not a Loki movie. Everybody was saying that the movie's probably just going to be Loki, but it's not. He isn't he isn't a huge part of the story. He is a major part, but he's not the biggest part, not the main focus of the movie, which I liked. Loki isn't even in the climax of the movie. His character kind of exits before that, well, kind of, but without spoilers. So he's not even a big part of the climax. So I like how he wasn't the main focus of the movie. They weren't oh, Loki's the most popular character, let's make him the central part of the movie. He's not. The post-credit scenes, there are two. Kind of like the Avengers, where they had one after the initial credits, and then which is the build-up to the next movie, and then the one all the way at the end is the joking one. And I feel they were okay. The build-up one, nobody would understand unless you're like a die-hard comic book fan. I barely even understood it. I actually ended up reading stuff about it online and finding out what it was. It ties into Guardians of the Galaxy, which comes out next year. Comes out after Captain America, but comes out next year. So they're tying into that, which I like, but it just sort of unless you know exactly what's going on, it's gonna be kind of like, huh? And the funny one at the end wasn't extremely funny. It wasn't as funny as the Iron Man 3 one or the Avengers shawarma scene, but it was chuckle worthy. It was a funny little moment. So the movie, all the action scenes are well shot and well directed, and there's a lot of them in this movie. And they're all extremely entertaining, mostly because they don't take place on Earth, so they don't look completely generic and stuff. They look different, and it's a lot of fun. The ending on Earth, the ending fight scene does tend to go on for a little too long than it should have. It starts out really awesome, really cool, but kind of, by the end, kind of like, I can keep moving. The thing I liked the most was just returning to this world, because I liked all the characters in Thor, including Anthony Hopkins as Odin, and all that stuff, and I liked seeing them again, especially because Odin gets much more screen time. So it was really nice to return to this world and get much more time in it than we did in the first movie. So that's why I think this movie's better. I'm not saying it's a whole lot better. I think both Thor and Thor the Dark World are both kind of in the middle. I don't think they're great comic book movies, or even great on like the Avengers universe type movies, but I think they're very solid and very entertaining, because actually I rewatched Thor after coming home from Thor the Dark World last night, just to get another view on it, because I don't rewatch Thor that often, and the last time I saw Thor was probably last year, right before I saw the Avengers. So I figured I'd give it another watch, and I still like it. It's still a lot of fun, but I still think Thor Dark World is a superior movie, because you get more Thor, get more Asgard. The comedy can get a little drawn out at times, and has a very bland villain. And some of like the scheme of the movie, even though it's like he's gonna turn the world into darkness, it doesn't feel too consequential, because you know it's not gonna nothing's gonna really bad's gonna happen in the end. Out of 10, I'm trying to give this an 8.5. An 8.5, because I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was extremely entertaining, and I feel in the long run, I might like it better than Iron Man 3. I have not seen Iron Man 3 since I saw it in theaters, so I might have to give that one a rewatch before I completely say that, but I feel like in the long run I'll have more rewatchability to it, because it's a lot more fun and kind of different movie. It's not another... speaking of Avengers, there's an awesome cameo in the movie by an Avenger. I'm not going to say who, and it was awesome. It was hilarious. It didn't feel forced, but it was really funny, and I thought that was awesome. So, Thor the Dark World, entertaining, really worth checking out. It's a good time at the movies. You're not going to be blown away, and you're not going to be too disappointed, hopefully. So, that's about it, and I will talk to you guys later.